Elvis, how do you find an X-intercept? How do you find an X-intercept in general? We're going to set y equal to 0. Oh no, we don't have a y. Put your finger on the y. We just learned that in function notation, instead of writing g of x, a more simpler way is writing y. And now, Ivan, it tells us to make every y variable 0. 0 equals 3x cubed minus 10x squared plus 8x. Partner B, whisper to partner A, what's the greatest common factor? Alexa, what's the greatest common factor? Gustavo, what's the greatest common factor? Vincent, what's the greatest common factor?
Is it x?
X is correct. Gustavo, what's the greatest common factor? Alexa, what's the greatest common factor? X. X times, class, what do I have? 3x squared minus 10x plus 8. Raise your hand if you got that so far. Here I'm going to highlight what's inside the parentheses. Let's see if we can factor. Inside the parentheses, class, what's A times C? 24. What's our B value? Two numbers that multiply to be 24 but add to be negative 10. Negative 6 and negative 4. Do not put x minus 6, x minus 4 here. That'd be incorrect. We're going to put it into our box. First term, last term, and now we're just going to find the greatest common factor of those. Class, what's your GCF? Greatest common factor? Remember, you can always multiply to check. 3x times x is 3x squared. Greatest common factor? And greatest common factor? Negative what? 2. 3x times negative 2 equals negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 4 equals positive 8. X minus 2. 3x minus 4. Now I'm just going to solve. It already tells me that one of these must be equal to 0, so I'm going to set each of them equal to 0. Look here, you already have x equals a 0, that's a solution. Add 2 to both sides, x is equal to 2 is a solution, and if you add 4, divide by 3, x equals 4/3. Let's go ahead and graph this. So to answer the question, find the x-intercepts. My intercepts are 0, 0, 2, 0, and 4/3, 0. Remember, all your y's are equal to 0. So these are my 3 solutions. Let's go ahead and graph it. I have 0, 0, 2, 0, and 4/3 is 1.33. Class, show me with your fingers. How many X-intercepts do you have? Show me with your fingers. We have 3 X-intercepts. Show me how many Y-intercepts we have. We have 1. So the origin actually is both an X and an Y-intercept. Let's put that into our calculator so you can get a shape. Some of you already recognize that your degree is odd. Hopefully in Math 5, last semester, chapters 5 and 6, you learned about graphing polynomials. I'm going to clear out under y equals 3x cubed minus 10x squared plus 8x. Now, how do I change my window? I'm going to press what next? Okay, if I graph it, so what happens? Alright, we got a graph. Now, this graph isn't great, so I want to zoom in. The worst thing you can do is press zoom and then in. Why is that bad? Because it only focuses on the origin. It'll keep going right towards the origin. But we want to eventually change our window. So let's pretend it's kind of like that piece of steak you got. You know, you get the bad piece where it has all the fat on it and you don't want to eat it. So you have to cut off the excess. This is the X minimum. And on this side, these are the X maximum. So it's at an X maximum of 10. I might want to move it down to like 3. How do I know that? I can already look at my graph here. Let's change our window. So press window. I already know that the X minimum right here is at 0, so I can press -1. X maximum at 4. Press graph. And now we're getting a better graph, right? Let's go ahead and sketch that. Before we sketch that, let's go ahead and label it. Everyone say label. On your next quiz or test, I will say label, and students don't do that, so lose points. You are basically writing the order pairs and telling me what it is. Everyone say smooth. When you're graphing your polynomial, make sure it is a smooth curve. Eventually I'll be telling you guys more clues of how to graph a polynomial without your graphing calculator. You should have recognized in this problem that we are graphing a odd degree polynomial. Starts down, ends up. In this problem, we found the X-intercepts algebraically and graphically. Remember, in your calculator, you can just second calculate the zeros.
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you?